Hey guys, so I've had some feedback about my first two videos and I wanted to chime in with an update, some clarification, and sort of a continuance of the conversation on emotional abuse and how to handle when you're feeling like you're the victim of an emotional abusive relationship, but you're not really quite sure what to do about it, and you're not really quite sure if you buy into or believe everything that I'm talking about here. One thing that's coming up is what to do as a victim of abuse when you're like, okay, a lot of this relates. I can feel a lot of this. But then you think to yourself, or you say to yourself, but you don't know how awful I've actually been. And what I mean by that is like you or the abuser or the victim of the abuse says, it's all well and good to hear all that, but I've been really awful. I've done a lot of things wrong. I really do deserve it. You don't get XYZ, what a bad person I am, or how deserving I am, or how much I've messed up in this relationship. So I don't really think you understand what's going on with me specifically. And I want to tell you, like, I do get it. I do understand. Here's a really common situation that happens, okay? Somebody's being victimized by an emotionally abusive person. Physical abuse is a different topic. We can talk about that in another series, but I'm talking about emotional abuse here. Someone's being victimized by an emotionally abusive person, okay? They're pushed over and over and over again. Their requests for emotional support are just ignored or steamrolled constantly. They're belittled and put down a lot. They're made to feel like they're stupid or lesser. Their physical appearance is often picked on in some capacity or another, often in subtle ways, so that they just feel always a little bit off or always a little bit wrong, or like they don't look good. They don't have a good sense of style. They don't dress appropriately, something's wrong with their face, something's wrong with their body. Like it's these little subtle things, and they're often said to you in a way that's like, well, I'm concerned. I just want you to know. I wouldn't want you to like walk around like that. Like, I'm helping you. I'm here. I've got your back. I'll tell you when you look bad. You know what? Like, but there's ways to say things, and it's also not universally true. See, an abuser wants to bring your self-esteem down a bunch of levels so that you think that you can't do better, or that you think that you can't have better, or that you think that you're not good enough to even have them. And like they're doing you a favor because you look messed up, you dress bad, whatever. Okay? They're not being nice to you by telling you these things, because if they were, there's like a nice way to tell you. And by pointing out the flaws that you have, they're constantly getting in your head, and their voice becomes your voice, and you can't look at yourself the same after that. It's like a super insidious thing that's happening, okay? So your abuser is intentionally constantly sort of eroding at you. Whenever you have a concern, it can't be discussed. Whatever your feelings are, they get invalidated. Whatever is going on within you emotionally somehow is irrelevant, doesn't matter, like doesn't get to be addressed. It's always about them and their needs first and foremost. It's always about you're not addressing them. You're not ever romantic enough. You're not ever kind enough. You're not ever funny enough. You're not ever like doing fun things with them. Like there's a whole bunch of things where it's like you're insufficient. You're not doing enough. You. And these are the subtle, like everyday things. These are the things that are happening when things are like good, because like it's not even an overt argument. It's just like, this is what it's like regularly. Like, let's go out to dinner, and like, let me tell you, like, is that the shirt you want to wear? Like, that's a little jab at you, okay? Like, did you even talk to your boss today about that thing? Oh, I guess not. Like, and then like do you ever do what you say you're going to do? This is why I can't trust you. Like little tiny remarks just off the cuff on a regular evening where you're constantly feeling picked apart. And those are the regular nights. Those are the regular interactions, okay? A tone of voice that's rude, or bringing up something and pretending like it's a joke when it's not. This is the way that they eat away at you. So that when something really does happen, when something big actually does take place, then it's like what you need to do. Hang on one second. My daughter came in. So these are the ways that they pick away at you on a regular basis. So that when something big does happen, you're already feeling so low. Like, you're already like, your guard's always up. When they're gonna come around you, you're like, oh God, you're not ever feeling safe. You're not ever feeling like you can just relax. You're not ever feeling okay. Which is like a crazy place to be in all the time. Like, the animal center of our mind has a really hard time with always feeling on edge like this. It's like fight or flight is constantly activated, but you're always forcing yourself to stay there, even though it's not a safe environment for you, and part of your body knows that. People who are in abusive relationships have way heightened anxiety responses. They have way heightened anxiety attacks. They don't sleep well. They don't feel well. They have headaches. They gain weight. They're uncomfortable in their bodies all the time. They have trouble breathing. There's a lot of this stuff, and it's all because your body's always in a state of like, oh my God, when's the attack coming? Listen to your body. Your body knows if it's not okay, all right? But aside from that, what happens next is when an argument or a situation does come to fruition and you, the abuse victim, lashes out in sometimes a major way and behaves like in a way that's not you or not how you would normally act, you feel terrible about yourself as a result. So an example that someone just talked to me about was, well, when my abuser used to yell at me or freak out at me, I would yell back, or I would like go through her phone because she was always lying to me and I didn't trust her, or I would always be like telling her, what are you doing? Aren't you looking for a job? Because she was never looking for a job when she said she was, and I would be on her case. And this isn't how I wanted to act, but I didn't act right either. And I would freak out and scream and yell at her and call her terrible names. And so like, she would always tell me I was abusing her, and maybe I was the abuser. Maybe it was me. Maybe I was wrong. Now this is coming from a person who had been gaslighted, really, really emotionally abused, called every name in the book, physically abused at sometimes, sexually assaulted at sometimes. Okay, a lot of stuff has happened in that situation. And that person, in my professional opinion and in others' professional opinions, was a victim in a major way of an abusive relationship. And here this person was still thinking to themselves, maybe I was wrong. Okay? That's what your abuser wants you to think about. They push you in a subliminal and subtle way every single day, every single interaction, all the time. They do not respect your boundaries. If you say, please stop, and they don't stop, they don't respect your boundaries. They steamroll your boundaries. If you say you're hurting me and they double down and hurt you more, they don't respect your boundaries. They're abusing you. If you say, leave me alone, and they show up at your door, they don't respect your boundaries. They're abusing you. Okay? It's your job to assert your boundaries. It's their job to respect your boundaries. That's what love is. Love does not look like this. Love does not look like a boundary getting demolished every single time. And abusers will intentionally demolish your boundary once they find out what it is, on purpose. Because that's how they assert their dominance over you. Okay? So if you have a boundary and it gets steamrolled, you're being abused. Now, abusers want you to think that you're the one that's in the wrong. And so they will push you on a subliminal level all the time. All the time. Okay? There will be like 2 or 3 interactions per day that are nice and pleasant and okay. The rest are like maybe fine, but kind of have a weird vibe. Some are overtly hostile, and occasionally there's like really bad ones. But there's always like peppered in there a few that are like good. All right? That's what's keeping you back. That's what's keeping you coming back. Okay? But they want you to think that it's all you. They want you to think it's all your fault. And they want you to think that you're the bad guy. And so they're subliminally pushing you all day long, all day, every day, constantly, so that when something big happens, you erupt and explode. You don't act like yourself. You, because you're backed in a corner and your body is like on the fritz because it's been stressed out so long, you explode. You don't know what else to do. You haven't formulated appropriate coping mechanisms partially because you can't, because your boundaries are literally not respected, but also because you're in a constant state of agitation and anxiety, stress, and fear all the time. Who has time for self-work and coping mechanisms in that state? You're just trying to survive. So you explode, you act out of character, you do things that you would never otherwise do, you don't respect yourself, you don't respect them, because you're in chaos mode. You're just like, stop, 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 stop. I'll do anything to get you to stop. You say terrible things, you yell, you freak out, okay? Some people might step out on their partner trying to just find another person who will be kind to them, and then that's how they leave. That is a super common coping mechanism for leaving, and it is acceptable, in my opinion, when you're in an abusive dynamic, because you are so chained down and afraid, and you are so battered into believing that there's no one else who will ever be kind to you, that you almost have to prove to yourself that kindness exists in the world, which, please believe me, that it does. So acting out of character is actually a normal thing. It's what they want you to do. It's what you do when you're abused, because you don't know what else to do, because all reasonable strategies haven't worked, because you're being abused, because nothing is going to work in this situation, because it's a system that's designed against you ever having self-worth or autonomy or the skills to be able to cope with this situation, okay? So victims often look at themselves and they say, you don't know what I've done though. You don't know, it's been bad. I've done some awful things too. So it's kind of a messed up relationship on both sides. Sure. That's true. We all do awful things when we're backed into a corner. But here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Are you acting in alignment with your character when you're lashing out, screaming at this person, calling them names, stepping out on them, whatever it is that you're doing? Is that how you are as a person when you're safe, whole, and fulfilled? If not, please understand you're reacting, not being proactive. You're reacting because you're terrified. You're backed into a corner. Is it ideal? No. No, it's not. Does it make sense? Yes. Yes, it does. And if you're in a relationship where you are never acting like yourself, where that's not the person that you are, and that's not the person that you want to be, then perhaps you need to reevaluate what you're doing in the relationship. Okay? Because the person abusing you is purposely pushing you to your limit every single time. It's an assertion of dominance. It's so they can see if they can do it. Narcissists and sociopaths don't understand empathy. They don't have it. They don't have compassion. They don't understand that they are destroying you. They don't care. They couldn't care less that they're destroying you. They will keep destroying you until you say, stop destroying me, I'm done. Okay? But just because you've also done wrong in the relationship does not mean you deserve to be mistreated. No one is perfect. We've all done wrong. But if you're acting in a way that has nothing to do with the person that you are, because you're always backed in a corner, you're always in a state of stress, you never feel okay, you never feel safe, you're just going to lash out, you're going to do whatever you can to make it stop, that is not a healthy dynamic. It's not a safe dynamic. It's not safe for you, and you need to get yourself out of it. And you start by assessing, who am I inside? Can I see myself as a person worthy of basic respect? Can I give myself basic respect? Can I see myself as a person worthy of basic love? Can I give myself basic love? And can I find a way to remove myself from this situation that only brings me down and never lifts me up? I know you can do it. Please let me know if you have additional questions.